Hey everybody, this is Tony, Tank the Lord A7, and I have a collection update. It's been a long while since my last collection update, but I've been slowly picking up some older and newer releases quite recently, and decided to just do a collection update and show off what I picked up recently. So let's go ahead and start this collection update. The first CD I'm going to show off is the latest album from Rivers of Nihil, the self-titled album. Now, when it comes to Rivers of Nihil, I only have the 2013 album, The Conscious Seed of Light, and heard a little bit of 2015's Monarchy. But after that album, I kind of lost track of what this band's been doing lately because, my personal life got in the way and there's a lot of other releases that I want to check out. So I kind of lost track of what Rivers of Nihil has been doing after the 2015 album Monarchy. The last I heard of this band was from the 2021 album The Work, which apparently got some mixed reviews, but the new self-titled album is to me a really good solid progressive death metal album. A really good mix of clean vocals with the monstrous growls, and this album um also makes good use of the saxophone arrangement in some of these songs. And overall, this is just a really solid progressive death metal album from Rivers of Nihil. I gotta give this a little bit more listens, but from what I've heard, I really enjoy this one. So yeah, the self-titled album by Rivers of Nihil. Yeah, the self-titled album by Rivers of Nihil. Just a really solid progressive death metal album, and a step forward for this band, in my personal opinion. And I really gotta check out more of the older stuff as well. So yeah, there's that. Next up is the latest album from Destruction, Birth of Malice. Um, yeah, with Destruction, you kind of know what to expect and what to hear. Like, this long running German thrash metal band has been putting out some really consistent albums, and Birth of Malice just another solid thrash metal album from these German thrash metal legends. Um, Again, I haven't really listened to this album a whole lot, but from what I've heard, this is just another solid thrash metal album from Destruction, and Both of Malice is just another solid album in the discography. Is it better than the older stuff? Well, that remains to be seen, but so far I really enjoy this one, and I'm really glad to pick up Destruction's Birth of Malice. It's just a solid thrash metal album through and through, and they're not really doing anything new or different, in my opinion. Just another solid thrash metal album from Destruction. So, yeah, really glad to pick up Birth of Malice from Destruction. Really good stuff. Okay, next up is a new band that I was introduced to by Thrash Metal and Thrash Maniac 99. And that album is Innumerable, and that band and album is Innumerable Forms, and the album Pain Effulgence. Now, I first heard of this band because Thrash Metal and Thrash Maniac 99 both said nothing but positive things about this album. And funnily, funnily enough, Levi over at the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel was holding a 5,000 subscribers contest, which me and others entered because we wanted to support his channel because he's one of the best reviewers on YouTube when it comes to giving his thoughts and opinions on the latest extreme metal albums that's coming out. But yeah, me and others entered his contest, and I surprisingly ended up winning his contest. And the contest winnings is that he was going to buy an album and send it to the lucky winner. And me being the winner, he actually ordered this album and had this album sent my way. So yeah. Thanks again, Levi, for sending me this album. Sorry it took this long to make a video about it, but I just want to give this album a lot more listens. That way I can talk about it more. And this is just a really good death doom metal album. Just very oppressive and just crushingly heavy. It's like any kind of joy or positivity or any happy feelings is slowly crushed by these doomy, crushing, depressing riffs on this album. And yeah, this is just some really heavy death doom metal from a band that I should have checked out a long time ago, but better late than never. But yeah, all the positive things that Levi and the guys that Thrash Metal said about it pretty much holds true, and this is just a really awesome death doom metal album overall. Yeah, so I'm really glad to have Innumerable Forms Pain Effigens. Just a crushing album through and through. And yeah, I'm just glad to have it. Okay, next up is a classic from UK's own gothic death doom metal band, and that's Paradise Lost, Lost Paradise. Um, yeah, what needs to be said about this album? This is just a classic in early 90s gothic metal, death doom metal. It's just very bleak, atmospheric, and just has a very depressing atmosphere, at least to my ears. And it's just a really classic album from Paradise Lost. Now this here is a Peaceville reissue, so it's not the original, but I'm glad to get like a reissue from a classic album from Paradise Lost. But yeah, Lost Paradise, if I haven't mentioned the title, it's just a classic Paradise Lost album. And if you want to get into like gothic metal, death doom metal from the early 90s, you can't go wrong with Paradise Lost, Lost Paradise. Just a classic album from this band. So I'm really glad to pick up Paradise Lost, Lost Paradise. Just a fantastic album in their discography. Okay, next up is a band that I never ever hear anyone talk about or bring up, but definitely a band that I feel like should be talked about more, and that's Orphanland, and the album, the story, um, and the album Mabu, the story of the three sons of seven. Now, this album is I guess you could say is a heavy metal, progressive metal album, but what makes it stand out would have to be the Middle Eastern influences that dominates this album. Like if you're into like Malakesh and Myrath, as both bands incorporate a lot of Middle Eastern influences into their music, Orphanland is also one of those bands that predominantly add more Middle Eastern influences on this album. And Mabu, the story of the three sons of seven, is just a fantastic album from Orphanland. Yeah, and it's an album that I don't ever see anyone ever talk about or bring up. But if you're into like that progressive metal, heavy metal sound mixed with some Middle Eastern influences, I highly recommend checking out this album from Orphanland. It's very entertaining and energetic, and just to me full of surprises here and there. And funnily enough, if you go on YouTube and um look up Orphanland belly dance, you see a lot of belly dancers actually. You see a lot of belly dancers actually belly dance to Orphanland's music. So that's gotta be that's gotta be a good thing, right? But anyways, I'm really glad to pick up Orphanlands, Mabu, the story of the three sons of Seven. Just an underrated album from an underrated band that I don't hear anyone talk about, but should be talked about more. So I'm glad to pick this one up. And definitely check it out if you haven't. Okay, next up is a classic in Polish 90s death metal, and that's Vados the Ultimate Incantation. I think everyone who's into death metal or extreme metal knows about this album, has heard about this album, but for some reason I never have it. I never got into Vado, and I don't know why. Like I've always heard about Vado, but for some reason I always get sidetracked by other releases and just never gave them a proper listen until now. Now this is a Earac reissue, so it comes with this flimsy digipack, which is okay, I guess, but could have been better. But more importantly, the music on here just kicks ass. Vados the Ultimate Incantation is just a solid early 90s death metal classic full of crushing riffs, great leads, and some excellent songwriting, in my opinion. And yeah, if anyone wants to get into Vado, the Ultimate Incantation would be a great place to start. And I'm finally poured my head out my ass and gave Vado the proper listen that they deserve. So, really glad to pick up Vado's The Ultimate Incantation, some classic death metal from the early 90s. Okay, next up is Deftones Diamond Eyes. Now, when it comes to the Deftones, there's only three albums that I truly enjoy from this band, and that's the self-titled album, White Pony, and Around the Fall. Those three albums are to me is all I need from Deftones, and those are the three main ones that I really enjoy. But I decided to branch out and check out more Deftones albums, seeing how highly regarded they are. So I decided to pick up Diamond Eyes, as this album is very favorable from most fans, and so far I really enjoy this one. This is a really excellent alternative rock, alternative metal kind of album, and dare I say it also features a bit of shoegazy moments, at least to my ears. But yeah, so far I really enjoyed Diamond Eyes by Deftones, and I'm glad to finally pick up some more finally enjoy and pick up more Deftones outside of those three albums from Deftones I mentioned before. So yes, I'm just happy that I'm starting to branch out and discover more of Deftones' lust lustful discography, and yeah, really glad to pick up and enjoy Deftones Diamond Eyes. Really good stuff. Okay, the last album that I'm going to show off in this collection update is from a band that I don't ever hear anyone talk about, but definitely a band I think more people should be talking about, and that's Sackage in the album Wizard Dive, or however you pronounce that album title. Now, this is I believe the Canadian extreme metal band that has this black and thrash punkish sound to them that makes this album stand out. Like it's very fast, aggressive, pulverizing, and just made to beat the crap out of you. Like I said, to my ears, it's a mix of black and thrash mixed with punk, and just a really aggressive album and a very energetic one at that as well. So yeah, Stackage is definitely a band that I feel more people should be talking about if you're into that heavy, aggressive, black and thrash, punkish sound. And Wizard Dive would be a good album to start off with. Yeah. So yeah, I really highly recommend checking this band out, and I'm really glad to pick this one up. So Yeah, Sackage, Wizard Dive. Definitely have to give this more listens, but so far I really enjoy this one. Really good stuff. And that's it, everyone. That's my entire collection update. Hopefully everyone enjoys what they saw, watched, or whatever, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And thank you, Levi, over at the Thrash Maniac YouTube channel for sending me that Innumerable Forms album. Really appreciate that. And yeah, and that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and take care.